Welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name's Liv, and let's go ahead and get into Jupiter in Cancer for, drumroll, the Pisces rising, starting the mutable axis. Sorry, Cardinals, it looks like you're last. I don't know. Maybe I'll switch in and out. Anyway, so let's talk about Pisces. You guys have been really learning. Saturn was in your first house for a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a few years. You had Jupiter in your fourth house, by which there were a lot of family matters to go over. But it could have been good for real estate, potentially, as Jupiter, opposed your 10th house. Could have been a lot of stuff to do, very busy. The sextile to the 6th house meant it was stuff that you at least felt like you enjoyed. To the 2nd house, financial concerns. And then, most importantly, one of the bigger things, since 2008, Pluto was in Capricorn, sitting in your 11th house, squaring the 8th house and the 2nd. So relationships were a thing. Betrayal was a thing. Pluto is now in the 12th house. So, got to learn on how you think. A lot of attachment issues that got to get worked on here, as Pluto will square your 9th house, your 3rd house, and your own 6th house. You can get what you want, but in order to do that, you're going to have to work on this, because this is a little too codependent. And if you have Scorpio or Taurus or Leo, it's going to make it so that you think you do want this thing. But in reality, it's just a way to escape from the desire to be free without chains. This further gets exemplified if you have mutable placements, because now the Virgo is interacting with yourself. And so we go back to 2023. Give me a second. My cat is taking a dump. Okay. Being a person with Virgo placements means that halfway through my recording, I just had to go clean her litter. And speaking of cleaning shit, let's talk about you guys cleaning your own shit. So, as it's been obvious, going through every chart, I try to give it very personal reading. I don't just say, Jupiter's in the 4th house. Family. Yeah, that's part of it. But there's more to it. Like the whole chart is talking, not just one placement. And part of this transit really lies in what Saturn just did. Because Saturn really kind of got the alley hoop from Pluto that was driving it home when Pluto was sitting here, right? You had the issue about your own personal network with your relationships, as I talked about, and your priorities, right? And how it is that you basically don't get kindness in that. But you cling to it, right? If someone gives you an ounce of it, you cling to it, You really desperately try to make sure that the friend group is alive. You're always trying to feed and nurture into it. And then getting into the second part here is that the Saturn in Pisces did its number by asking you to detach, because it's alley-hooping. It's lobbing that to the Pluto that's about to sit in your 12th house. This is bigger than just the transit of Jupiter, but in order to actually get some stuff going, some of these planets have to come in first to get the shit out. And that is the 7th house. In a Pisces rising chart, having seen so many, right? The 7th house is probably the most difficult thing here with this chart. The ironic part about this is that the inversion, the Virgo risings, have everything together but what they actually want to do for their life. The Pisces rising have, I don't want to say nothing together, but they have the perception that they can always get everything together, that they have but it's an emotional roller coaster. And that's because the 9th house is Scorpio, opposing a 3rd house that seems stable as Taurus. But if you unwind them, then we really get into the thing here that if they're authentic to themselves, maybe they do allow the Aquarius part of this to exhibit. If they're not, then they're just a 9 out of 10 times going to date the person that actually is the mirror of what they want in their 12th house by looking perfect in the 7th and then seeming also like they're normal in the 6th. It's such a weird framework that goes on here. But most Pisces risings don't end up marrying people or dating people that they seem like they should. Is a good way of saying it because of this. So Saturn in Pisces was like, stand up. Stand up. And if you stood up, then you probably got slapped the fuck to sit back down. But that's the point. You were supposed to stand up and then sit down, to stand up and then sit down. A whole lot of stuff going on with the family. I know I just said the generic thing that I talked about, but the family was important to delegate and get everything going. And as Uranus is leaving, going into the 4th house, the family stuff isn't over. But the good part about that is that, for lack of better terms, it'll radically change. So it won't be the same as it's always been. That's always a plus, no? Yeah. So following that, we can now actually talk about the Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter here is to bring you the peace of mind, right? Unless you're someone that has water in this chart, meaning you have these placements already, it brings you the peace of mind of being okay to get exactly what you want and to also potentially be alone. Because while Pluto is actually like literally forcing you to be alone and being in the background, the Jupiter will allow you to heal the part of you that you felt you had to change. While Saturn was in Pisces, maybe it caused you, well, the Virgo risings were the ones getting really sick, but it caused you a little bit of grief. It caused you loss. It caused you a loss of your perception. But now it can heal what actually matters, which is joy, relationships, friendships and communities, and your own personal values. It will give all of those the nice little benefit without the Virgo perfectionism coming in the way. It's so interesting how, like, in Aries rising, I don't have that much emphasis on the 7th house being Libra like that. But like Pisces rising, the Virgo literally just where it's at, that's it for the whole chart. And it just changes it all. But even with that, I want you to, for once, allow not just things to happen and have no idea, but to find a way to give your own self emotional grounding and love without it being like tough shit. I'm going to deal with this and no one's going to stop me and I'm just going to muscle through it. No, that's just all the earth. And the earth is unfortunately where communication is supposed to be. We're supposed to be human. You don't have to tunnel in and do this crazy like leaps of I am unreliant of anyone and whatever. No, don't have to do that. You can actually just move towards what you want with peace and love and other people. There's a lot to speak on with Pluto, and I think when I cover the Pluto, I'll come back to this. Because the overall term of your life in the next 20 years is like literally changing your mind to be able to actually get what you want, not just financially, but what you want out of this to get the perfect everything that you want. But the problem is a lot of people, when they're smart and you try to talk to them about things, like they're not going to hear you because they've thought of that, but they might not hear you in that way. So it's an everyday act willingly to take a pause when you hear something and you think you know it, but to actually hear it from that other person's point of view. Because even if you know it from your point of view, hearing their point of view might give you something that even if it doesn't answer that, you find a piece of information of something else. Instead of, for instance, starting to say something or being told something, and then you're immediately like, oh, I know. But it's like, listen, that is a really big part of this for you guys. Pluto going through your 12th house is, yes, smarty pants, you have really good intuition. Yes, you're very receptive to things. Yes, you're very quick to jump through things, but you don't know what you don't know. Right? Stop overthinking. Stop trying to be nonchalant about it. And enjoy this ride, because at the end of the day, you are in the front seat. If you're young or old, when Pluto actually sits in your first house, you're one of one, right? There will be no one that has the last zodiacal signs, Pluto, for another God knows how long, right? You are one of one. Pluto and Aquarius people are one of one, yeah. But the Pluto and Pisces people will be one of one. And not only will you be one of one, but you'll have had the ability for Uranus to be in your own 5th house in Pisces. Like, there are transits you guys are going to experience that no one else will, and a completely deeper level than no one else. But we can't get there. If you're so worried about posing as someone that knows this and that, whether or not you do or don't, but it's like, just allow the process of the experience to happen without assuming you know the outcome. Okay, that's all I got. Goodbye. Good luck.